Millions of frontline workers keep our economy running and are provided with the latest technology to do their jobs. But digital adoption, especially by frontline workers, is really hard.
This is Frontline Innovators. We explore how to overcome challenges and achieve success when we empower our essential workers.
I'm Justin Lake.
And I'm Gene Signorini. Together, we speak with experts who are leading the way and driving digital transformation to the front line.
This podcast is sponsored by Skillful, on a mission to help frontline workers learn and use the technology needed to succeed in their jobs. Good. Welcome to the Frontline Innovators podcast. I'm your host, Justin Lake, and I'm excited about today's episode. Today's guest is a certified change practitioner with a certification from ProSci, and she's currently the program change manager in the IT organization at W.L Gore Associates. Please welcome to the show, Maria Fung. Hello, Maria.
Hello, Justin. Thank you for reaching out to me and invite me to your show. Thank you.
I'm really excited to have you here. And I want to get started as we always do and ask you the big question, which is what do you see as the biggest challenge facing the deskless workforce today?
I think because of pandemic, the frontline workers, or what we call manufacturing associates in my company, it is having distance between them and the associates in the office or in the plant. It is because of the way how they interact in the pandemic, and the way how they make the decision, and the way how they build the community were completely different from the pre-pandemic period. For example, they don't have our luxury. They don't have their choices to decide whether they can work in the plant or whether they can work from home. We have that options. So because of this, they tended to make the decisions as quickly as possible among themselves. While in the past, they had all the associates working together, and they can call immediately, and to have, for example, QA team, manufacturing leader, and the other engineers to come together to work out the problem on site. So this created the gap and the distance in the pandemic.
So when you say distance, you actually mean the physical distance. Like prior to the pandemic, they were able to work physically closer together. They were able to pull together into a huddle and have a quick conversation. And that's impossible, or at least more difficult now.
Yes.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and this distance really created ripple effects. For example, lack of trust, lack of the sense of community, and also different ways to make the decisions.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear you say that one of the effects of this is them making faster decisions, but on their own, and perhaps without collaborating with others in the organization. I'm pretty sure that's the first time I've heard somebody describe it that way. That's really interesting. I don't think I have really thought about it that way. That's pretty interesting. What are some of the impacts of that happening? Would you say that they're maybe making less informed decisions than they would have made before?
Yes, right now they made their own decision. They probably develop their decision plan and inform for example, the engineers, the QA team afterwards with the reasons on the paper or through the emails, versus in the past, just like what you say, very collaborative. Okay, get the ad hoc call and come together.
Yeah.
Yes. This is also something I have never imagined happening on the manufacturing associates, especially on the manufacturing floor. Yes.
So on one hand, I'm wildly impressed that your manufacturing associates are taking initiative, right? They're getting the job done. They're doing what they have to do to keep the lines moving and continue to be productive, right? So I think that's commendable that they're not just standing around waiting, right? On the other hand,
Yes.
I imagine that there are some downstream implications to some of the decisions that they've made. Is there anything that you can share of maybe when something hasn't gone as well as it did before the pandemic that's a result of this decision-making process?
It is one of the effects, and through the pandemic, it also created not just the decision-making differences, but also the sense of community and also the sense of belonging in the plant or in the environment. It is also like because of the restrictions set by the county or the government, so they could not have lunch together in the room. So I have heard some of the story. They went back to their car to have lunch on their own, which is something we would not do it in the past. As I understand, they are very close. Closely knitted, and they support each other very well, personally and also professionally. So this was kind of I would say the community that was being kind of damaged by pandemic. I see the restriction has been lifted step by step. So things start to resume again. So I am aware the leadership in the plants, they tried their best to rebuild the trust and also the relationship between the manufacturing associates and also us who have the options to work hybrid.
So the really interesting point that you just raised is that because of the lockdown and those employees not being able to be together, it was taking a bad situation and even making it worse. So it's one thing for there to be distance between the people that are the manufacturing associates and the office associates.
Yes.
But now, because of those pandemic policies, we even had to create space between the manufacturing associates. So it's just like collaborations dropping all over the place.
Yeah, you're right. Yes. So it is all about rebuild in the post pandemic era. So I have seen we have tried very best to, for example, organize some of the social activities in the plants and also some of the enterprise-wide celebration lunch. So it is also one of the thing that we have the sense to rebuild the sense of community ruined by pandemic.
Yeah.
We still have that sense of collaboration. We have unique culture. We promote highly collaborative environment and also have the knowledge-based decision environment. So if we miss any part in the decision, it is not us. It is not Gore. So I'm pretty confident through the conversation with those manufacturing leaders and also manufacturing associates. They target to move towards the days that we used to be.
Yeah, that's good. Well, hopefully we're on the backside of a lot of these changes now, and things will start to get back to normal a little bit. So let's take a step back and talk about you as a professional and help me and our audience understand a little bit about how you came into the role of being a change manager and dealing with the men and women on the front lines in your organization.
Okay. So I have been driving transformation and organizational change management for 15 years, from innovating business processes for a business unit to centralizing, restructuring, and revamping the global function for the division, to roll out global digital programs across the enterprise, to standing up change capabilities for non-digital space, for example, sustainability, risk management within finance, and also internal controls, procure to pay. My story started as a garment technologist in fabrics division for W.L Gore Associates. In my role, I led many discussions and negotiations with global brand customers, manufacturers all over the world, and also internal associates from field sales, R&D, product specialists, and product owners. And I found that I have strong passion and enjoy laying out different scenarios and drive everyone to common solutions and achieve the alignment to hit the business goal. In 2017, I have been internally transferred from Hong Kong to San Francisco to continue the restructuring work for fabrics division. An opportunity came in 2018. I made a strategic move from divisional functional role to change management on an enterprise level. This really widens my horizon and bring my value to another level. I drove the change management from strategy to impact assessment to engagement activities and the sustainment activation for the programs like Procure to Pay, digital collaboration on shifting the whole enterprise from Lotus Notes to MS365, and also to plan the implementation for product lifecycle management system across different divisions. I still enjoy the work because I really like working with people, seeing people moving from A to B, and also having the satisfaction from seeing they are resistant to, they really love the new technologies. And this is also how the manufacturing associates share their story with me about their experience, their positive experience in digital collaboration through our coaching, our local community, and also their easy access to, for help.
Yeah. So I have to say, going back to where you started in your career, being a, focused on fabrics and that side of the business, and then coming into change management in an IT organization, that sounds like a strange leap. Can we go back to that for a second? I mean, how did that transition happen?
Within fabrics, I have done quite a number of transformation work. My role was not change manager. I did not really know about the formal change management practice. However, I did a lot of engagement with the stakeholders. Stakeholders mapping really targets what they needed and what I want them to feel for the future, and also draw them on a picture, a future picture, how the success look like for this transformation. So one of the example I can share with you is the centralization work that I drove when I was within fabrics. We had a testing center all over the world for our apparel products, and my role was to shift them to one single global hub in China. So my task was to make sure the stakeholders internally, from field sales, marketing, communications, logistics, product specialists, to buy in this concept and also be part of the change, be part of the transformation. And at the same time, I also needed to influence and make it very clear to the external customers, for example, the global brand customer that you can think of in consumer market, and also the other manufacturers who produce the apparels for these customers. So I included them in the process, for example, what kind of things that we could do to make their life better. So we drew the picture together. So we lay out different steps and also heard their voices and contributed to the roadmap and strategies and all those actions. Mm-hmm. And this was part of my transformation journey in fabrics. And just like what I say, I had the passion and I had the strength to influence different parties to come to a common alignment. And this really led me to think about, hey, what's meant by change management? What actually means? And perhaps in the days when I was in fabrics, I misinterpreted. So in 2018, when enterprise globally recruited change managers internally, I had the chance to really see what change management actually means. And it really covers human-centric solutions, and also the other part, like how you manage your stakeholders, how you evaluate the impacts from process, technology, and people point of view, and also how to really wear the lens of empathy for different stakeholders to propose something to drive the change, to work with them, to coach them, and the way how we can recruit them to be part of the change. So I still love being change manager. So I think this is my second career within Gore.
That's excellent. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And listening to you talk about your time focused more on the fabrics, it was a lot of the same things of collaboration and bringing people together,
Yes.
which is really the essence of what you're doing today as a change leader, inside the organization. So it makes actually perfect sense. So let's talk about, for those that are listening, when Maria and I started the conversation, we talked about how her employer refers to their frontline associates or their frontline team members as manufacturing associates in their case. So we'll use those terms interchangeably today. But when you look at your experiences in rolling out technology to the men and women on the front lines, your manufacturing associates, what are some of the lessons that you've learned about what things we need to do differently, what things we can do the same when we're dealing with the men and women that are on the front lines in your business?
The way how they operate is very different from, for example, me sitting in the office or working from home. So and also the way how they work is different. They don't have their own laptop. They don't have their own desk. So the way how we get their buy-in, the way how we communicate is totally a new horizon. For example, I'm using their own community. They have their own circle. They have their own network. So leverage this effort to deliver the message. And the other thing I found it in my previous lessons learned was the use of office hour so that they can join and come in whenever they have break or whenever they get off from their work, and have people ready to help out with their questions. The other thing I see very helpful to the manufacturing associates is the coaching, not just passing the menu to them, but really holding hand, kind of hand-holding coaching in the front so that they can pick up on the key things on the new ways of working. And after that, when they feel comfortable and confident in the new technology, new platform, they would do it even better than we expect. Does it make
Do you-
sense?
It does make sense. But I want to go back to something that you
Okay.
said. You said they have their own community. And
Mm,
I can imagine there being some pros and cons to them depending on that community for communication about upcoming changes and how to use the system and how to get support
mm,
and things like that. Because what I've actually seen in some cases is sometimes that community doesn't deliver the right information.
mhm.
And I'm curious to hear how you have been able to manage that, to allow that community to be a good source of information, but make sure that the information they're getting from their community is accurate.
Yes, in my previous experience, especially in digital collaboration, we really provide the onboarding, the training, and the deep dive for the community. So we don't really take a kind of easy approach for the community. Because we really need them. We need them. We need their local knowledge, local practice to support our communication. So what we can support them is the knowledge, the kind of foundation of why, and also the sustainable ways of working after the rollout of the technology. So it is not about a kind of chit chat group. No, not this. But we really set this up intentionally. So we work with the leaders. We work with the floor managers, floor leaders to really see who would be the one who are passionate, who are willing to this role. Of course, have good relationship and trust level with the manufacturing associates.
Yeah, it's really good. Have there been any times when things didn't go as planned when you were embarking on a strategic change initiative?
Yes. Dated back to
Can you
the
share that story with
fabrics.
us?
Yes, perhaps dated back to the fabrics division. I talk about I led the centralization, and yes, everything looked successful. Everything really centralized to one global hub, and the customers, factories, and internal associates follow the new flow, new logistics, and also new ways of working. However, one customer reached out to us, hey, could we use the old method to have our garment, our apparel products tested in their own country? It really, it was really an alarming for me. And I look back, I found that when we reach out to the customers, when we reach out to the field sales, we might not be very explicit about the value. By that time, we were not very experienced in change management, and change management was pretty new capability within our company. So we only focused on the workflow, the new workflow, and training. If we look at the principle of change management all over the world, the key success factor, one of the key success factors is the desire for change and also the value. Without those two pieces, and just jump into communications, training, and also those process harmonization, led to this question, this pushback from the customer. Of course, finally, we worked out a kind of exception plan, and at least we moved toward our goal at the end. But that kind of exception ask has already become our kind of alarm. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'm always fascinated when the desire element of change
Yes.
comes up, because I think it's the area that I am least versed in terms of how to facilitate? Because I've worked around some very reluctant people that don't want to change, and I wonder. I love when change management professionals refer to this desire. I always kind of looked at it as, can we just get them not to be angry? You know,
Oh
but
yes.
that's different between being not, not angry and actually, desiring this change and understanding it to the length that you really understand what's in it for you. Those are two very different things. I'm curious about
Yes.
what your thoughts are on how to really help those impacted really
Mhm.
see what's in it for them and help to create that desire. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think creating the desire is part of showing them the future. So showing them the value. And also these two things will inform how you engage, how you communicate, and how you recruit them as part of the change process. So I like stories, so I also would like to share you with my story when I supported procure to pay project when I was the enterprise change manager. The time when I supported this project, I was pulled in very late. So I sat in on different training webinars conducted by project champion, project managers. And I sensed that the question the associates asked, the questions the leaders asked were not very welcoming, not inviting. So there were a lot of pushback and resistance you could sense. So when I had the chance to talk with these individuals, their focus was the process. And when I asked them, do you see the value after this policy rollout, after this system rollout? And most of them could barely say a word. So I immediately worked with the project sponsors to really look at the change strategies, which part we should reinforce, which part we are missing, and what kind of outcome we really look for within 2 months away from the rollout. So we organized very intensive engagement, from webinars to in-person engagement and focus group, to rebuild the trust, to draw a picture of the value, and also the hopes after the new ways of working. So all these elements combined it to a successful rollout at the end. So through engagement on the associate who were highly resistant had the chance to vent out on their thoughts and also their concerns. And with the leadership, the senior leadership, as part of the trainer, also build the credibility for the project team and also for these initiatives. Mm-hmm. So these were something I think very resonate with your questions. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my favorite thing that you just said is help them see the future, and
Yes.
I really like that. It's a very simple way to describe it. I know it's not easy to do, but to help them understand how their role will be impacted by these new systems and what that's going to look like down the road. And I can imagine that would make it feel much less overwhelming, that you're helping them see what the future looks like, and you're charting out the path between where they are today, where we're going to be together in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks out. I can imagine that really lessening some of the anxiety and concern that they have about the change.
And when we talk about the future, when we talk about the value, this is my personal opinion, is put on their lens, not just because you are the change manager, not just because you are the project manager. Even it is about compliance for the organization. There's the value that you can get them buy-in, get them feel, okay, I protect my company because it is the company I love working for. So this is very tricky, I know, but only just one step to do so. Be empathetic and wear the lens of your stakeholders.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. What do you think there are any myths that maybe some of your colleagues, not just inside your organization, but other folks that change management professionals are working around? You think there are any myths or misunderstandings about what it takes to be effective as a change leader inside the organization?
I think one idea popping up on my mind is the local adoption. Yes, we see local adoption is part of our change process, and the way how we set up the change community, the way how we run it, and also the resources and time commitment, how to maintain it. I would say not just the change managers, but also the leadership would underestimate the effort or the thing that we should put in. If you look at the structure of change management organization, we probably rely on change manager to do everything from stakeholders engagement, management, comms and engagement, readiness, change impact assessment, and training, etc. However, when we look at the change network itself to promote, to sustain the local adoption, we found there's a kind of missing piece. And I always talk to my project or program leadership that there should be at least half of the headcount and even one headcount to run the community, because this is not about pre, during, and after, but how to maintain the behavior after the rollout, because this is also part of our success, right?
I think that is an amazing point, and it's one that we've talked about quite a bit. That innovation is a journey, not a destination. It's not just something that you do, and when the project date ends on June 30th, that now this phase is done. That's the initial installation, perhaps, when that part is complete. But this really is a life cycle. And the life cycle, it continues for many years in most cases. And even when that technology that was innovative today reaches a point where it's now end of life and we're going to be transitioning to the next generation of that technology, it doesn't just stop and start. It's something that needs to continue to evolve. And so I think you're absolutely right that many times we underestimate what's really necessary to ensure the success of those programs.
Yes, and there are a lot of factors affecting our approach to coach and guide and also run the community, the local network community. For example, pandemic, it is something we never expect.
Right.
The cultural differences, and also the way how they work in each region. So this is something ever changing. It is not a permanent or kind of fixed element. So this is also something we tweak our approach as the time goes by. Yeah,
that's really good. Maria, what's the contribution that you've made in the organization that you're most proud of throughout your career?
Oh, wow. This is kind of difficult question, Justin. I would say I really drive a lot of alignment between my project team or my functional team and the leadership and also the stakeholders. It is something I'm proud of and also talented at. I build the relationship and trust very quickly. I also use the principle of team performance model to approach my stakeholders and also my teams. So the principle just like, okay, let's really set our identity, why we are here, no matter it is project team and also the functional team. After the identity or membership kind of thing, then let's look at the trust. So through different exercise, for example, Strength Founders, it is something, the game that all people love, right? And then really get down to the job, get the things done. So I found these models really help me to achieve highest impact in the influencing and driving at the alignment. I used the same approach when I did the consultation or kind of customer support services to the brand customer as well. Mm-hmm.
That's excellent. Well, I think that is those are contributions that you should be proud of, and I'm sure the organization and all your stakeholders have benefited greatly from your contributions there. So thank you for sharing that story with us.
Yeah, and influencing is so important in change management and transformation, no matter whether it is digital and non-digital world.
Yeah, that's really good. Maria, thank you so much for your time today. We're already coming up to the end of our time, so I really appreciate you spending some of your afternoon with me.
Thank you.
I do need to wrap it up there. So for the audience, I hope you found this conversation as enjoyable as I have. And if so, please share and rate the podcast. 5-star ratings help ensure that it gets promoted to other professionals like you that are innovating on the front lines, just like Maria. The podcast is sponsored by Skillful, the mobile digital adoption platform for deskless and frontline workers. Visit the website at skyllful.com. And we're always looking for new guests on the show. So if you, Maria, or you, the audience, know somebody out there that's innovating on the front lines, we'd love to get a referral. A lot of our guests have actually been referred to us by other guests and those in the community. So we'd love to hear about them. Make an introduction to me on LinkedIn, and hopefully we'll get them lined up for the show. Maria, thanks again for your time today.
Thank you, Justin.